So let's talk about math. I wore my calculator t-shirt on purpose. It's actually upside down. That's okay. I mean, my t-shirt's not upside down. The calculator on my t-shirt's upside down. Let me tell you why we're talking about math, because I've had a lot of conversations with parents. I've had quite a few conversations with students. It's a thing every single year. And I get it. Math is hard. And there are a select few for whom math is not hard. But for the majority of people, it is. And the thing that makes math different from everything else, like when I was talking to my bosses about our EOC scores in math, which were for the students that do TOPS the right way, which means, start their work early in the week, ask questions, go to office hours, turn all of their work in, take great care in how they do their work. For those students, we rocked it. We did great. For the students that turn everything in at the last minute or don't turn in some assignments and don't bother to do things that they don't want to do, they did poorly. And I was trying to explain that, when you take an EOC for math, it's just what you've learned that year, and if you didn't get it, you're not going to get it, and the distractors are set up to confuse you, because they know that if you're pulling from what you learned in Algebra 1 or geometry or whatever, then you're not going to get it, because it is very specific knowledge. English, on the other hand, also difficult, but there is some transference from 6th grade English all the way to senior English. There are skills that you pick up earlier in life and then in other classes and then just in the general world that relate to English. Same thing for social studies and a lot of other subjects. However, math, chemistry, physics, a lot of those are very specific skills and knowledge that you have to pick up. So, again, talk to a lot of parents, a lot of students and everything about how hard math is. We realize it's hard, but it's no harder than it has to be. In other words, we're not pulling, we're not saying, well, we're going to make this super hard on our kids. No, it's just what it's supposed to be. And actually, we've been very thoughtful about how we've laid out our math courses and the types of assignments and all of that. So here's what I want to say to you about math, is that a lot of math success depends on your attitude. And that's not like an adult talking about an attitude. I'm saying about your actual attitude about math. If your attitude about math is, I just want to get it done as quick as I can, you're not going to be successful. If your attitude is, I only want to spend a couple hours on this a week, you're not going to be successful. If you truly want to be successful at math, then you will work on it a little bit every day. You will ask your teacher questions. You will email them. You will meet with them during office hours. You will create a study group and work with other people. You will do all of these things that will help you be successful. And the difference between online school and a brick and mortar school is that in a brick and mortar school, you are going to pick up some things in class just by being there. In an online school, you are not. You're going to have to go out and get the information. And we provide you with video resources, textbook resources, Khan Academy resources, all of those things, but there's even more out there than that. The best resource you have is your teacher. And you need to be working with your teacher, asking questions. And specifically for Math 3 kids, where, it's off the charts hard. I don't even personally believe that Algebra 2 should be a graduation requirement. That's just my personal opinion. And not a lot of people agree with me on that. But that's my opinion. Because I just feel like it gets into some esoteric things that people don't need to be, not every human being needs to walk around with. That's just how I feel. But I can't change that rule. You have to take and pass Math 3A, Math 3B to graduate high school. Whether you do it here, whether you do it somewhere else, if you go maybe to your traditional high school, maybe they'll offer Algebra 2, but it's essentially the same course with a few things that are different. So it's going to be hard. You just need to accept that, out of the gate. But you need to adjust your attitude towards it. Instead of saying, this is hard, I don't want to do it, you need to say, this is hard, I am going to kill it. I am going to beat it. I'm going to conquer it. Like, this is going to be my thing. I'm going to, you're just going to pass. You're going to make a good grade. You are going to master the material. You can do that. Every one of you can do that. It just takes a sort of a different mindset than going into math. I mean, I fuss at teachers, even though I'm guilty of saying this myself. I can't stand it. It bothers me when people are like, well, I ain't no good at math. Well, you can get good at it. Nobody's born good at it. Maybe John Stuart Mill, because he was doing like calculus when he was 5 years old. But nobody's born with the specific knowledge of math. It is not a natural human thing that cavemen were like, let me do some math up here. It is math. What math is the universal language for science. So when you're learning when you're learning math, you're learning how to talk about the world without having to use language. You're saying that it works this way. So, I mean, let's just all agree right now that we are going to have a different attitude about math. We're not going to run from it. We're not going to talk about how much we hate it. We're not going to say it's too hard for us to understand. All we're going to say is, you know what, I don't get it yet, but by God, I'm going to. Think about what a difference that will make in your life if you change your attitude from I can't to I can't yet. And I'm not trying to be like Tony Robbins here or, some sort of motivational speaker. I'm just trying to tell you that millions of people have finished high school math before you. It is a definite possibility for you to do it. But it won't be easy. You shouldn't expect it to be easy. If it were easy, you should fuss at us for not making our courses challenging enough and giving you enough knowledge to go out into the world. Every single one of you who goes to college will have to take some form of college math. No matter what you major in, every university, community college, whatever, makes you take at least one math. And the better you do this now, the easier that's going to be later when you move into higher forms of math or different forms of math. You may not like it, but that's just part of life. There are going to be courses you take in college that you don't like that you have to take. And there you go. What are you going to do? You're going to say, well, I don't like this, I'm not going to do it. No, you're going to do it. And if you have the right attitude, you're going to master it and do it well, even if you don't like it. So, I just want us to have a different attitude as a school about mathematics. And I know, like, as a parent, it's really hard. Like, kids excited about school, and they're doing this class and that class and having a good time, and then you get to this one, and then they're all of a sudden in tears and crying and frustrated and upset, and it's not going the way they want to. I mean, I get it, it's hard. But we're stuck with it. That's what the state says we have to do. Our district agreed to go to Math 3 instead of Algebra 2, but that's not making an impact on what kids are having to do. The modules for Math 3 are essentially, in the beginning, the same as they were for Algebra 2. Just because it's necessary. And the folks doing Math 3A right now are working on Algebra 1 stuff. So, yeah, you're probably going to have to get help, but that's okay. The other thing I want to talk about is getting a math tutor. I know that a lot of students have. Some have had success with that. Some have not. The thing about getting a tutor is, and I don't even recommend it, is we don't know what they know. We can't vouch for their level of expertise. We can't vouch for their level of expertise in transferring information to a student. They may be the best tutor in the world. They may be the worst tutor in the world. We don't know. But I can vouch for my math teachers and their expertise both in mathematics and in teaching. So I can vouch for them. And, you know, until you run out of TOPS options such as office hours, emailing, you know, maybe even scheduling a regular appointment with a math teacher if that's appropriate, whatever, study groups. Until you exhaust all of those, don't run out and get a tutor and pay them all kinds of money, because you might not need it. You have to do it our way first. And that's always been a thing with math that I've never understood. It's like people will do things the way we have them set up in every other subject, and then we run into math and it's all of a sudden we're hiring tutors and we're freaking out and doing this and that. It's not necessary. Math is hard, but it's not different in that the way we have it set up is wrong. It's almost like we're getting the message from people. It's like, oh yeah, we love TOPS, except for that math stuff. It's not set up right. It is set up right. It's set up the way it's supposed to be. So trust us is another message that I want to send you. Trust us that we're doing it right. Because again, I can show you every student who did math the way they were supposed to through us last year killed their EOC course. And, you know, that's not the only evidence that I have, but that's good enough for me. That's good enough for the state. I can tell you that if you knew your stuff, you did well in the EOC. I mean, taken as an average, there's some poor test takers here and there and whatever. But, I don't know. I'm rambling now. But those are the message. That's the message I want to send about math. And I know that it may seem a little psycho that, you know, I get some pushback on some things and all of a sudden I'm making a video on it. But honestly, this is how I deal with anything. Whenever there's an issue at TOPS, I just try to address it as soon as I can and as clearly as I can. Just because, I don't know, it's just like I don't want anything to fester and linger and that sort of thing. And if we fix attitudes and behaviors now, we're going to have a great year. If you don't change your attitude and you don't change your behavior, meaning like how you approach math, you're going to have a hard year. Because you're going to be, like at least in our core maths, you're going to be an A and B in every single one of them. Math 1A and B, 2A and B, 3A and B. So, I think that's all I got to say about that. But, this has gone on for 13 minutes. 13 minutes of talking about math. But it's important to me. And it's important to me that you adopt this attitude about anything that's adversity in your life right now. Don't run. Don't hide. Fight it. Fight, fight, fight. And then know that you can do it. It's all about mindset. So yeah, that's all I got to say.